what data says. So, has anybody seen, I think everybody's seen James Bond movies, right? So there's this character in James Bond movies who basically sort of helps with the technology and the kits that James Bond wears, Q. So I have my Q as well here, and that is Som. So Som Datta, I'd like to present him as well. Som Datta is a PhD in computational physics from Rochester. He has spent a career in search, information retrieval, and machine learning. And he has got a fair amount of experience at Microsoft designing Bing. So he is somebody I'm going to lean on in case I fumble, because there might be some topics of data which I may not be able to cover with such confidence as Som can, right? So today my mission is to somehow get some faith with the people in HR about decisions that you can make with data, right? So to start off, let me start with this slide, there. That is Liam Neeson from an interesting movie in which he talks about, I think he says, I don't know who you are, but I'll find you and kill you, but I guess the HR person in my team wants to do the same thing in terms of recruiting, right? The fun part about Liam Neeson is that whenever I see his face, I find him always very hurt. And so when I see my HR person with the same hurt expression, I think that she's probably not got the candidate to join us. But I like the fact that he is able to do such emoting with his face. So what I think our HR, there's a fair amount of confidence in their abilities that the HR has, which is a good thing because there's a lot of experience that HR has. My HR, I think, also does a lot of decisions using gut, right? And I personally believe that while it's good to have your gut instinct to guide you with your judgment, there's a lot you can do with data which is very interesting. Okay? So I start off by describing the structure of what I'll do today. I'll cover how we hire and if data can help you make decisions about hiring. I'll cover how we retain. So can we figure out how to make sure that your attrition rate goes down? How do you make sure that you retain people longer, right? And also, can we figure out why people are leaving the company? So why are they leaving, right? This is basically the topic of the conversation, or rather the structure of my presentation today, right? So, how we hire. Now, this is an interesting graphic which talks about a typical journey of how a CV, in fact, thousands of CVs, go through different stages, and finally somebody gets an offer, right? Now, to make it optimal, you have ratios, timelines, costs, and throughput, right? You know what this reminds me of? Biology. Why is that? Okay, so there is a fair amount of stuff biology does in terms of selecting the right person. And if you're born at all, you get what I mean? If you're born at all, it's freakish because it was a 1 in a million chance that you were actually born, right? How was it that you were selected? Anyway, about 10 years back, when I applied to Google, I had about 9 interviews. And I somehow was reminded of biology. I had, if you need 9 interviews to go through and get into Google, there's probably something really, really inefficient, I feel, about that hiring process. Because I do get that you are very selective about it, but I do feel that it could have been probably done a bit more efficiently. At least maybe 4 or 5 would have been enough, but why 9 interviews? And I've heard some people in those days would go to 13, 14 interviews, right? I actually think that you might be able to do things in a much more efficient way using data, right? So what is it that you can do with data to make sure that you don't have to go through 9 interview rounds, okay? So I would classify these as somehow based on, since you do not have a lot of information to begin with when you're hiring somebody, you just have a CV, right? To therefore make quick decisions based on the CV in the most informed way, right? Instead of just glancing through it and say, oh, right, this profile looks like it's a good fit because it's got the right qualifications, etc., like what we do right now. Maybe there's a way to do it more scientifically. Can we, for example, figure out who's fake from it? Has he sort of lied about his experience? Has he lied about his degrees, and is he the wrong person to get in? Can we categorize his skills? For example, his soft skills or even the technical skills? Can we figure out things about matching his skills to what really works in your organization. Maybe you could look at your talent today and figure out what their skills are and try to match them, right? And on this topic, I will pass it on to Som, to talk about exactly how we can do it with data.